Welcome to Local Image. Thanks for joining me for this November edition coming to you from our studio in White Bear Lake. We begin today's show with a story about life's possibilities as seen through the eyes of a remarkable high school student who, like many, is preparing for a future after graduation. Photojournalist Jeffrey Wilson joined White Bear Lake student Mike Johnston and a busload of his peers on a two-stop tour to learn about today's manufacturing jobs.
These are great opportunities for all of us just to broaden our minds to see what's actually out there.
Students from White Bear High School's Manufacturing Pathway program recently took a tour of local manufacturers to show them real-world career options.
It gives us a chance to come out and look at local industry, kind of right in the backyard of White Bear Lake High School.
And they're looking for people. And if we can prepare our young people for those jobs, they will be there for them.
You need to have skills, you need to know what you're getting into, you need to love what you do, and just have a general education of how to work the machines and work with people.
The tour was for students like Mike Johnston, who have an interest in engineering and manufacturing.
How do you like them apples?
Well, I would say he's a very typical student, and there's no one else like him.
Mike is very passionate about engineering and about manufacturing.
Mike is a third-generation engineer enthusiast.
Well, I'm really interested in manufacturing because both my dad and my grandfather were engineers. My grandpa started his own fabrication company, and my dad eventually took over that. And so it's in my blood, and I've always loved designing stuff on the computer and then going over to the shop and building it.
Who understands the need for programs like the Manufacturing Pathway.
There's a strong need for manufacturing and just engineering in general. We're falling behind.
The program is also supported by local industries.
Come on in.
I think it's a combination of things. I think industry has partly driven the need for this because they're having a hard time finding skilled employees.
But to come out to the sites, smell it, hear it, see people actually working it, not necessarily the owners of the company, but to see people doing the work. Our students start to envision themselves in those roles and start bringing a little more meaning to their education and their planning.
I've toured many different companies and factories over the years, and I just want to see some more experiences and see if they have any job openings for the career I'm going to pursue.
This is actually a laminated beam that we spun down to a circle.
Mike's path took a turn just as he was entering high school.
I had brain cancer. It was a very large tumor, about 99 cubic millimeters, which is about an inch and a half golf ball in the center of my brain.
He spent the summer getting radiation treatment to reduce the size of the tumor.
I had the proton beam radiation over in Indiana, which is a lot safer. So this is the side of my head when we first found my tumor. This is after one dose of chemotherapy. That's what it shrunk down to after that. Then after 2 doses, and I circled it in blue, and after 4 rounds of chemo, that's when it went down to. Yeah, chemo and radiation shrunk it down to nothing. It's just a blood vessel now.
His experiences while in treatment for his cancer sent him down an unusual career path.
I actually know exactly what I want to do. I just got accepted to University of Wisconsin Stout. I'm going to go there for packaging engineering.
A career path where he sees issues he would like to solve.
Medical packaging. When they're trying to numb my skin, the J-tip, the carbon dioxide, they doesn't always open up how they should, and I gotta go to school and try and fix that.
His whole ordeal has helped him focus on the future.
Well, with my cancer, it really impacted me to get a job that I love and that will help support my family, because personal experience, medical bills are not cheap, and I'm going to need a good career that's going to help pay for those.
Which is why this program is such an important tool for students.
Really happy with what I'm learning right now in my manufacturing and applied engineering class.
Even those students who don't want to pursue a traditional education.
That a 4-year college is not necessarily the right choice for all students, from an academic point of view as well as a financial point of view.
And I think it's important for them to know that there are other options. again, well-paying, high-demand, high-skilled jobs where they can really set themselves up in a good career.
In the future, educators hope to attract more girls into the program and into manufacturing.
We may have to market it a little bit differently than we do to males and talk about maybe how being in manufacturing and engineering can really benefit people.
As we look at different styles of manufacturing jobs, I think young women will see themselves fitting into those more often. Or when we have women in manufacturing speaking to careers, that will help too.
But this fledgling program has already seen success.
Today was really cool. We just got to see from raw material, every single step in the process to get to the final product, which I thought was really kind of neat.
With Mike always looking on the bright side of things.
Everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have met some of my best friends. I wouldn't have so many different experiences if I hadn't gotten diagnosed with brain cancer. It's honestly changed my life for the better. It's one of the best things that's happened to me. Sounds cruel, but it's true.
And taking it one day at a time.
Just live each day like it's your last and do what you love. Yeah. Right, thank you. You too.
Back here in our studio, I have with me another remarkable young man whose own life-changing experience during his high school years is shared in a new book called I'm Alive, Courage, Hope, and a Miracle. It's the story of former Hill Murray High School student Duke Pieper. I'm pleased to have Duke and the co-author of this book, our good friend Jim Bruton, with us in the studio. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
I loved the book. Let me just start with that. And I love it because I could relate to it, to your story and what you say in this book on so many levels. One is I have a son who's about your age, and so I can relate to it from a mother's perspective. And also I have a husband who grew up absolutely loving and passionate about the sport of hockey. So there's lots of things I can connect with. But what is difficult for me, and I'm sure readers of the book to connect with, and that's kind of the point of the book, is the fact of what you went through, that you almost died. Can you tell folks a little bit about your story so they understand the focus of this book?
It started out, I was told I was a pretty good hockey player growing up. It was back in 2008, so I just made the Hill Murray varsity team anyways for my age. And I was a freshman. And so that was kind of rare to ever see a person make the varsity team as a freshman. That morning was my first hockey game anyways, playing Burnsville, and I couldn't really, I woke up and something felt off. I really didn't feel right anyways. And my best way to describe it is it kind of felt like I just had a lot of pressure in my head, and it kind of felt like you were on an airplane. That's my best way of describing it anyways. Mm-hmm. I went through the day as like nothing really had happened.
Right.
And because, it's my first game, big day, and, I'm a little nervous, and I didn't really want to, let my team down or say anything was wrong with me. And so I just went throughout the day, and, I realized that when I first stepped out on the ice, I was like, whoa, this is, quite different, and just shooting the puck, the whole net was off, and I told my coach, I was like, there's no way that I can do this, I didn't want to let down my team, and, I don't want to make a fool of myself because it's on national TV, or not national TV, but it's on FSN. And so I ended up taking myself out of the game. That's when I went to the hospital anyways, and it took them a couple of days until they actually found out what was wrong. They ended up doing a CT scan, and they ended up finding a cavernous hemangioma in my brainstem anyways, and so from there on I basically had to have surgery. I'm pretty sure this was a Friday night, and I had to have surgery like a Monday or something like that. After the initial surgery, I was out of it for a couple of months, and basically when I came back with it, I had a bunch of complications as far as brain infections and just different things to that nature. And one of the last brain infections that I had, it kind of landed on my spinal cord. And that was what paralyzed me from head to toe anyways. And basically from that point on, I kind of had to relearn how to do everything all over, whether it was from walking or talking and breathing. And then I also later found out that first initial surgery that I had, I actually kind of had like a 5% chance of just getting through that whole ordeal anyways. And so that's kind of where my story began, with recovery and just the things of that nature.
And for folks at home, another way of terming what you had was brain bleed, right?
That's yep.
So kind of a ball of blood, as it's described in the book, that was at the base of your brain stem.
Yep.
Why was it important for you, because you're still so young, to write this book now?
The reason why I kind of wanted to do the book was one of the reasons anyways is because I had such a small percentage of surviving anyways the first surgery. I didn't have a lot of people that could come in and really talk to me about it, just because no one had really survived the surgery and, you know, things of that nature. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to do the book was just to get the word out there, and I also wanted really to help other people. And so, like, for example, there's the 15 survival strategies in the back of the book.
Yes.
And that's kind of the goal behind that was, it kind of sums up everything I want you to take from reading the whole book. So if you don't read that whole book, you can still kind of get what I want you to take away from the book anyways, just with those 15 points.
For you, Jim, you've written several books. How has this book, in working with Duke, how has that impacted you?
You know, sometimes I think you actually believe things are supposed to happen for a reason. And initially, I knew a little bit about his story. I'd read about it. But when Lou Nanny called me first, because Lou and I had done a book together. In fact, we were here with you.
Yep.
And said that there's this young man that's going to call you named Duke Pieper. And I'd kind of heard the name, but I didn't know much about the story. And he said he's going to call you about a book. And I said, well, that's fine. And so he called, and then I met him and his dad at Perkins. But I told my wife before we met, I said, I just don't think I'm going to do this because I don't have time. And I was in the middle of a couple of other books at the time. And I came home after meeting him, and I said, I have to do this with him. He is the most unbelievable kid, and he has the most unbelievable story.
Can you describe for people watching a little bit of your life in terms of kind of the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis that are, you know, different than the average kid that's your age, let's say?
Nowadays, it's kind of I've gotten used to a lot of things. Just because, you know, I've had to accommodate and do things maybe a little different way than somebody else would do it. But one of the definitely a big challenge for me is I still see two of everything, and so or I see double, in other words, and so yeah, no matter what you look at, you see double, and so that's definitely a big challenge, whether it's, you know, driving a car or anything like that.
Driving a car. Let's stop right there.
I did get my license, so I can do that safely.
How were you able to make that happen, do you think?
I don't know, with a lot of help, obviously, from God, and just practice and a little bit of patience, and yeah, it's just compensation, and you do it enough, and you're bound to get it, and it's practice. Practice makes perfect.
Jim, when you were helping to write the book, you know, what did you think about at night after a session with Duke? What kinds of things went through your mind?
Sometimes it was very emotional, because I can recall, you reminded me of something when you were just speaking, and I can remember one time I asked him the question almost like you just asked. I said, well, tell me about some of the things you used to be able to do that you can't do now, or at least the same way. And I remember as he was telling me that the tears were coming down his side of his face, and it was just a very emotional, hard thing. And when we'd be putting all of this together, and it was very easy, I will say, to write this and put it in his words, because he did a great job of telling me the story.
And you credit hockey, the sport of hockey, with a lot of this. Why?
Do. I think hockey has taught me a lot just growing up and whatnot, and I think it's kind of got that mental aspect kind of into me. With my coaches were great, obviously, and they helped instill some of those things within me anyways. And you're
still in contact with a lot of those people, including the Hill Murray coach.
Correct. Bill Luckner, I actually just talked to him today.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome too.
He was a great guy.
But you still want to stay connected to hockey. Tell folks what you're doing now.
Well, what goes along with the question is my dream is still to win the Stanley Cup. My dream has always been to win the Stanley Cup. I just can't do it as a player, but maybe as a coach or something like that. And so I'm a student coach out for Bowling Green, their hockey team anyways, and so I'm learning a lot from them anyways.
I think, you know, the hockey coach out at Bowling Green, Chris Bergeron, all right?
Yep.
Yeah, he told me when I interviewed him, he said, you know, people would come to us and say, gee, that's nice of you to have this kid around, you know, and helping out with him, and he would stop them and say, no, you don't understand. We're the lucky ones to have him with us. He's the one that's benefiting us, not vice versa. So that's what people think of Duke, and it's just tremendous.
Is there anything else that you really want people to know about you or your story, or something that you hope they take away from your book?
Like I said, you know, I really hope, you know, people obviously just read the book and take away that, you know, even though that you're having a bad day, you have the power within yourself to change it around. It starts with just your mindset, and it's, what am I going to do about it? And pouting in the corner, that doesn't really help.
No. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. It's a very difficult and personal story, but I know it's going to impact a lot of people in a positive way. So let's hope a lot of people out there read this. They'll benefit, no doubt.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Now, many of you may fondly remember the Piccadilly restaurant that was located in Mahtomedi for over 90 years. It was a bittersweet day when the doors closed in 2005, but recently folks gathered at the site to remember the past and welcome the project that will become home to many residents eager to make many more happy memories in Mahtomedi.
Well, the reality is that the baby boom generation is coming of age. The demographics are that the greatest generation has reached that time that they're age 65 and over.
We currently have a real shortage of affordable housing for seniors and working families here in Washington County. And it's been very difficult for these kind of projects to come through. So it's exciting to see this project come together.
What Piccadilly Square is, it's affordable senior housing. So it's aimed at the senior household that has an income of less than $33,000 a year. So it's for seniors that have restricted incomes.
And this does make a small dent in a growing demand for affordable senior housing. And that is amazing what that affordable senior housing is going to be doing in the next 10 years.
Our contractor is Shaw Lundquist, and this will take approximately a year to complete construction.
This particular project is a special project in the sense of really understanding what the building is going to be used for. Our company's vision is building better lives, and by coming and listening and hearing the importance of this site, it really makes me understand that, you know, creating a home and a community for seniors to continue to stay in the community is really critical.
Well, I think it's really nice. It's something we've, of course, needed for a long time. I mean, we're right in that group of people who say, you know, we can't afford to stay in Mahtomedi after we retire if we don't have something like this.
This is a project that will allow the seniors here in Mahtomedi to continue to live in their community where they're close to their support network so that they can stay connected to the community and and have enjoyable twilight years.
The people that have called our management company are folks that are from the area. They're very familiar with the former Piccadilly restaurant, and they say, I know exactly where the site is, and they're thrilled to move in.
I mean, in the old days, I was on the road, and I'd call my wife at noon and I'd say, you know, I'm going to be home about maybe 6 o'clock. It's going to take me that long to drive home. Why don't you call the Piccadilly and make a reservation and we'll go out and have supper. And I look forward to how many people that I know will live here. I've got a good friend down the street who lost his wife recently, and his house was going to be too big. He's in his late 80s. Being alone at home alone is not a good place to be. This is a much better place.
Last month, we did a little celebrating and recognition of our own during the 2015 Suburban Community Channel's Excellence in Community Television Awards held inside Kellerman's Event Center in downtown White Bear Lake. It was a great night to award our public access producers and recognize the wonderful volunteers that make community television possible. Photojournalist Nicholas Anderson captured some of the excitement in this local image segment.
Awards and Community Television Awards. Yes, definitely. Welcome, everybody. Are you ready for some fun? Say yes. Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
Dedication that you make in creating those programs are appreciated.
Thank you very much. It's really wonderful to work with all the people. And of course, Grant is kind of a circus, so I have plenty of material to work with. Thank you.
We close out today's show with the difficult reality that many of our military veterans face when they return to civilian life, that of PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. There are wonderful programs and help that is available to those dealing with PTSD. And as photojournalist Jeffrey Wilson discovered, the help that comes from a four-legged friend may be the best help of all.
My name's Christian Gosland. I was a cavalry scout and a paratrooper. I served in the 1st of the 509th Airborne Infantry. In 2004, we were tasked to deploy 2 companies overseas to support Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was a rear-facing gunner most of my deployment.
Soldiers like Christian have come back from combat with a wide range of injuries.
I have a bad back. I've had 2 knee scopes on my right knee. I've had 1 on my left.
Including traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder.
I have chronic migraines and then some psychological issues from what went on over there.
Nestled among the farm fields of Northfield, Minnesota, lies a new organization that aims to help veterans struggling with PTSD.
It's estimated by the VA that there's as many as 20,000 veterans with PTSD within a 250-mile radius of where we are right now. Right? 20,000.
Veterans like Christian, who was diagnosed shortly after returning from his deployment in 2005 while still serving in the Army.
I was pretty angry, and it was hard doing the job that we were doing.
Since January of 2015, Believet has taken a different approach to helping veterans with PTSD cope with the everyday struggles they face.
So our overall goal is to provide service dogs to veterans. And, in a 3-year time frame, we hope to be graduating 25 teams of dogs and veterans a year.
Giving them tools to help navigate everyday tasks that can be stressful and agitating for those with PTSD.
Cover. Sit. Like the cover command, which we were working on. So they're out in public, crowded area. That guy kind of behind me is, getting a little close. I don't like it. Put your dog behind you. Well, create that physical barrier.
For some, just being in public and around people can be a struggle.
I avoid people. I don't go out in public.
They don't want to be out in public. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to interact a whole lot with the public. They're like, okay, I'm going to the store, I'm going to do my thing, get out, get in, get out. And if you just kind of have the dog and create that natural barrier, that kind of doesn't really help you interact with people and get out and do things.
A service dog like Claire can help to alleviate some of the stress that public places bring and can serve as a connection when dealing with people.
Mostly like during normal daytime hours, which is when I don't like to go out in public with my PTSD. And it'll be one of those things where she'll act sort of as a little bit of a bridge to help me meet people.
If someone comes up, okay, can I pet your dog? No, I don't want you to pet my dog. We want them to have that option where, no, he's working, but he's taught to shake. You can have him shake instead, and that kind of helps that interaction. And it kind of takes, it away from you, looking at me, they just want to see my dog, they want to shake my dog's hand. They're kind of focused on that.
Believet hopes to bring more awareness to the struggles of those living with PTSD.
That PTS is really a kind of a hidden disease in essence, so that it's a disorder that you can't really see, and that somebody walking down the street you just don't know.
During their pilot program, they are not taking new clients, but are looking to raise money to be able to expand to provide clinical trial data to prove that dogs are a viable treatment for those with PTSD.
Our longer-term kind of aspirational goal is to help facilitate the change of policy in this country so that service dogs are an acceptable treatment protocol accepted by the Veterans Administration and government and insurance, so they will pay for dogs. At that level of cost, it takes a lot of money to provide the dogs that the number of veterans in this country need.
For one veteran at least, the program is working.
When I go down there and I'm having like a not so good day, just hanging out with the dogs is nice. So.
That's all the time we have for this month's show. Thank you to all of those who serve in our military and the families that sacrifice so much on our behalf. We hope you know we'll be thinking of you on Veterans Day and every day. I hope you join me in December for more great stories. Enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving, and as always, I do thank you for watching Local Image.